Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really profound story, a monumental decision, a highly symbolic group, and what their selection actually reveals about doing extraordinary things. We're looking at some fascinating source material today centered around the 12 apostles and this concept of a new Israel of God. Whether you know this text like the back of your hand or you're looking at it with totally fresh eyes, the way this information is laid out gives us an incredibly clear window into a literal world-changing moment. We're going to break down exactly who was chosen, the hidden meaning behind the numbers, and the ultimate takeaway this text has for us today. Let's get right into it. So let's anchor this whole explainer right in the source text from Luke 6:13. It sits the absolute foundation for this pivotal moment. It says, "And when day came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he also named as apostles." Now, this single sentence, it's basically the hinge that our entire analysis swings on. It gives us the precise time, when day came, it gives us the action, he called and chose, and it gives us the specific number, 12. But to really grasp the immense weight of what's happening when the sun comes up here, we actually have to rewind a bit and look at what was happening just before this moment. According to this source material, before making one of the absolute most important decisions of his entire ministry, Jesus does something super intentional. He goes up a mountain and he prays all night long. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We aren't talking about a quick 5-minute moment of quiet reflection before starting the day. The text explicitly points out that this was a grueling all-night endeavor, totally isolated on a mountain. This detail is absolutely crucial because it highlights the sheer magnitude and gravity of the decision that's about to be made. It's setting a scene of deep, intense preparation before a massive shift in the narrative. And that brings up a really fascinating question posed by the text. Why did a decision of this magnitude require an entire night of dedicated prayer? We're not just reading a history book here, we're actively analyzing the why behind the actions. If the leader of this movement is spending the whole night in focused, deliberate prayer, well, it tells us that the choices he's about to make are going to carry immense, lasting significance. This wasn't a choice taken lightly, and the implications, they were meant to ripple out across history. So when morning finally rolls around and the actual selection is made, you'd probably expect him to assemble a team of the most highly qualified, deeply educated, and prominent figures of the day, right? After an intense night of preparation like that, you're expecting a drafted roster of the absolute elite. But the text reveals a completely different strategy. Actually, he goes in a direction that would have been entirely unexpected to anyone watching this unfold in real time. He literally flips the conventional script on leadership completely upside down. This perfectly illustrates a massive contrast. You have your expected candidates for a major religious movement, right? The religious experts, the deeply educated elite, the important cultural leaders. But Jesus bypasses them completely. Instead, he picks fishermen. He picks a tax collector. He picks everyday, totally ordinary people to be his closest followers, his apostles. The source material makes a massive point of highlighting the specific contrast. This wasn't an accident or a lack of options or just some coincidence. It was a highly intentional, strategic selection of the most unlikely candidates you could possibly imagine. So we really have to ask ourselves, what does this surprising lineup tell us about who God chooses to use? When you put the terms fisherman and tax collector right next to the words ordinary people, it completely redefines the qualifications for doing important work in this narrative. The source material is basically asking us to connect the dots here. If the most important mission in the world was handed to the most ordinary people in society, then the barrier to entry isn't about societal status or formal expertise or having the right pedigree. It's about something else entirely. But wait, there is a whole deeper layer to this. While the occupations of these guys were profoundly ordinary, the actual number of men chosen was anything but. In ancient texts, numbers frequently carry deep, symbolic significance, and our source material specifically points out that the number chosen here is absolutely central to understanding the whole story. It's kind of like a giant key that unlocks the broader historical context of what is actually being built on that mountain. The crucial point here is that 12 is not just some random digit pulled out of thin air. It is heavily coded with historical meaning. Jesus didn't just look around and say, okay, I need about 10, maybe 15 guys. No, he chose exactly 12. And when a number is this specific in this historical and cultural context, it's meant to act as a giant flashing neon sign pointing backward to something older and pointing forward to something entirely new. Here's the connection. The 12 apostles were chosen to directly echo the 12 tribes of Israel, tracing all the way back to the 12 sons of Jacob, who were God's covenant family a long, long time ago. It's a direct, undeniable historical parallel, basically mapping the old onto the new.
By picking exactly 12, Jesus is making a profound theological statement without even having to say a single word. The number itself is the message. It communicates this powerful continuity with ancient history.
And that leads us to a really powerful definition provided in the text. By selecting these 12, Jesus is doing something absolutely enormous. He's forming a renewed people, a new Israel, centered completely on him. The phrase Israel of God represents this exact shift. He's taking the ancient structure, the covenant family that began long ago with Jacob's sons, and he's renewing it. But there's a huge distinction here. This renewed people of God is now built entirely around Jesus himself. It's just a brilliant structural reimagining of a deeply foundational history, which really challenges us to look at the big picture here. Why was it so vital to create this exact symbolic echo of the ancient tribes? I mean, why not just start completely fresh and leave the past behind entirely? Well, tying this new movement so closely to the ancient history of the 12 tribes suggests a continuation of a story. It's a fulfillment of a long-standing promise rather than just erasing what came before it. It anchored this new movement, giving these ordinary men he chose a deeply profound historical identity right from day one. Now, as we look at the ultimate outcome for these incredibly unlikely candidates, it's really important to note the specific application this source text is aiming for. Because the curriculum we're exploring today isn't just some abstract history lesson, it's a specific kids edition. It aims to draw a direct line between these monumental historical events and the actual lives of the young learners reading it. It basically takes this grand, sweeping narrative of a renewed Israel and distills it down into highly practical, personal lessons that even a kid can grasp. Ultimately, these 12 ordinary men went on to do the impossible, carrying Jesus' message to the entire world. Just think about the trajectory we've mapped out in this narrative today. We started with a grueling night on a mountain. We moved to the surprising selection of everyday fishermen and a tax collector over the highly educated elite. And now, the text tells us that this specific, unlikely group is the very same group that successfully takes this message global. The sheer scale of that accomplishment, especially originating from such humble beginnings, it's just staggering. And this drives home an incredibly powerful takeaway. This historical event is presented as undeniable proof that God specializes in taking unlikely, everyday people and using them for extraordinary purposes. That is the core thesis of the entire source text. It's not just that God can use ordinary people if he absolutely has to. The text explicitly states that he specializes in it. It's literally his preferred method of operation. And the 12 apostles are the prime historical evidence presented to back up that incredible claim. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. The curriculum turns the lens directly onto its young readers, asking, if he used ordinary people back then, how can he use ordinary kids like you today? But honestly, I think that's a brilliant challenge for any of us, at absolutely any age. If everyday people were the foundation of a message that literally changed the world, what extraordinary things might be in store for you? It's a fascinating question, and for sure one well worth thinking about. Thank you so much for exploring this impactful source material with me today. Keep asking great questions and keep learning.